Pakistan's and those with authority over security forces for human rights violations. Luis Moreno Ocampo says no one had the right to massacre civilians. And it's emerged that forces loyal to Gaddafi captured 3 Dutch Marines in the coastal city of Sirte on Sunday. They'd been involved in rescuing 2 Europeans who've since been handed over to the Dutch embassy in Tripoli. Well, mourners have been paying their respects to rebel fighters who died fighting forces loyal to leader Muammar Gaddafi in the key oil port of Breka. AlJazeera's Jackie Rowland reports.
The battle for eastern Libya rages on, from the air and on the ground. The rebels' advanced positions are now about 50 kilometres west of the town of Breka. Pro-Gaddafi bombers make sorties overhead. The rebels fight back in any way they can.
The airplane came and we fight them. Then they bombed us with 3 bombs. This is the one, and the other one there, and the third one there.
The bombers missed their target. Local people think they were aiming at an oil facility, crucial to the war effort in the east of the country. The town of Breka remains in rebel hands for now. The fighters are under-equipped and poorly trained, but they are armed with a passionate will to get rid of Muammar Gaddafi. The battle has claimed its first victims, 6 men from the nearby town of AlJazeera. They rallied to the front line to defend the revolution, and they came home in coffins, fallen for the new Libya they wanted to build. For the people of AlJazeera, these men are martyrs to their revolution. And the more of their comrades who are killed, the more determined they are to defeat Muammar Gaddafi. And so the fallen of AlJazeera are laid to rest. The formalities of death are brief and simple. The inscription reads, "Here lies the martyr Hassan Umran."
My nephew died for his country. He went to Brega to fight and Gaddafi troops killed him there. Each person must be ready to die for his country.
These families have paid the ultimate price in this bloody revolution. And as they say goodbye to their sons, nephews, brothers, they know that other people will doubtless die before the struggle is over. Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera, in eastern Libya.
The International Organization for Migration says some 200,000 migrant workers have now fled Libya into Egypt, Tunisia and Niger. But concern is growing for many foreigners stuck inside the country. Tony Bertley has more from Benghazi.
A few possessions in their bags and the clothes on their backs. Migrant workers in Libya on the move looking to escape somebody else's conflict. These feel destitute and abandoned. The lucrative jobs in an oil-rich country lost in the uprising. At the docks in Benghazi Thursday, yet another boat stands by to collect its human cargo. This time, 600 Syrians board the Captain Abdullah. But in recent days, vessels from China, Vietnam and Europe have come to collect its nationals.
أكيد شعور جميل يعني حدا ماشي على بلده بيكون شعوره جميل شعور جميل.
We've been here for 3 days, he says. It feels very good to go. At the peak, up to 10 boats a day were setting sail from here, with migrants desperate to flee the danger. More than 30,000 migrant workers have left from this port in the last week. The exodus is slowing, but still they're coming. Countries from all over the world have remembered their nationals, but there are some, a few, that have been forgotten. In a camp the other side of the harbour, the foreign workers who can't get out, either because they have no money or their governments don't care.
Many country people here, Indian, China, Turkey, but all people go back. But our Prime Minister is no helping.
They survive because of handouts and donations from Libyans, but it's a basic existence. The problems for these men are compounded by the fact they haven't been paid by their company, and that's hurting their families back home.
In some cases, literally dropped everything, including their documents in some cases. So they're travelling home empty-handed. Many are through remittances are supporting quite sizable families back home. And so it's going to have a huge knock-on effect.
There are more than 2,500 migrant workers here and another 1,000 in nearby camps, but that's what they know. It's estimated that the figure is much higher, perhaps by 3 or 4 times. Many workers, especially those from Africa, feel frightened.
Some of us, we are surviving. Some of us, we are dead now. Right now, we are looking for the solution.
That solution is being provided by international organisations now arriving in Benghazi. Most in this camp will be repatriated in the coming days or weeks, but there are still pockets of Indians, Filipinos and Africans unaccounted for, and for now there is nothing to do but wait and hope the violence doesn't return. Tony Bertley, AlJazeera, Benghazi.
On the 34th anniversary of the Libyan revolution that brought Muammar Gaddafi to power, protesters have burned copies of his controversial Green Book. Demonstrators in the city of Misrata danced and chanted slogans against Gaddafi. The document is a mix of various Islamic principles, socialism and the Libyan leader's own political thought. The Libyan government has seized what it claims are illegal drugs being used by opposition activists. On Thursday, Libyan television aired pictures of the alleged haul. Authorities say they were found during searches of trucks in a coastal town east of Tripoli. The Libyan government recently claimed protesters were high on drugs that had been distributed by, quote, enemies of the revolution. Now, doctors in France have brought a baby back to life by freezing her brain. We'll have much more on Ella's story later in the show. Stay tuned. Now, US President Barack Obama is calling for Muammar Gaddafi to step down. In his first remarks on the subject in more than a week, Obama's outrage was clear, but the steps his administration is willing to take are less clear. For more, let's go to Daljit Dhaliwal in our Washington broadcast center. Daljit.
Hey, Imran, thanks very much. Well, the Obama administration says that it is making decisions based on what is best for the Libyan people. Patty Culhane has more.
After more than a week of silence on Libya, U.S. President Barack Obama made it clear how he would like to see the fighting there end.
Colonel Gaddafi needs to step down from power and leave. It's time for Gaddafi to go. He must leave.
But so far, the president is more focused on getting the estimated 30,000 Egyptians and other foreign nationals out of Tunisia, where they fled looking for refuge, ordering military and civilian aircraft in to fly them home. As for Libyans, Mr. Obama says he's most concerned the violence now engulfing them will turn into a prolonged stalemate.
There may be situations in which Gaddafi is hunkered down in his compound, but the economy or food distribution systems in Tripoli, for example, start deteriorating. And we're going to have to figure out how do we potentially get food in there. So there are a whole range of options, military and non-military, that we're examining.
The option the U.S. Senate has been pushing is the implementation of a no-fly zone. One influential